everybody, welcome back to Goodnight Lighthouse. I'm Miss Dorothy and I'm here to read you another story. And I have a really old book to read to you tonight. This story's been around for so long. I bet your grandma knows this story and your mom and your dad. Everybody knows this book. So now it's time for you to hear it too, because this book is called The Tale of Peter Rabbit. The Tale of Peter Rabbit. This is a story about a little rabbit named Peter and his brothers and what happens when they go outside and one of them does not obey their mom. That's not good, and we're going to have to get into this story and find out which one it is and what happens when they don't obey. Are you ready to get into this really old book with Miss Dorothy? Good. I need you to sit up and listen up, because here we go. The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Once upon a time there were 4 little rabbits, Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother under the root of a big tree. "Now," said Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden." She's sending them out to play, but she told them not to go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail went down the lane to pick blackberries, but Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight to Mr. McGregor's garden. He's not going to obey. First he ate some lettuces and some beans, then he ate some radishes. Then he felt rather sick. Oh no, he went into the garden and he's eating too much and now he has a tummy ache. Turning a corner, who should Peter meet but Mr. McGregor? He jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling, "Stop, thief!" Peter was very frightened. He rushed all over the garden and lost both his shoes. Then he tripped and got caught in a net. Uh-oh, he's in trouble now. Some friendly sparrows flew down to help him. Mr. McGregor came up, but Peter wriggled free just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. He rushed into the tool shed and hid in a watering can. Then he sneezed, "Achoo!" And Mr. McGregor was after him again. Oh no, he's still chasing him. Peter leapt out of a window, knocking over 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor to get through. Mr. McGregor went back to his work, and Peter was alone again. But he was very frightened, and he was very, very lost. Now he doesn't even know where he is because he ran so far, and he lost his coat and his shoes. What's he going to do? After a while, Peter found a door in a wall. A mouse was running in and out underneath, carrying peas and beans to her family. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth, she couldn't answer. Oh no, he can't find anybody to show him the way. Peter set off across the garden and came to a pond where a white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still. Peter thought it best to keep going. He had heard some very alarming things about cats. Peter doesn't want to disturb the cat. Then suddenly, quite close to him, Peter heard a sound. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scratch. Scritch, scritch, scratch, scratch. He scuttered underneath the bushes, but nothing happened. He crept out. There was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions, and just beyond him was the gate. There's the gate that Peter needs to get home, but Mr. McGregor is right in front of him. Very quietly, Peter jumped down and started to run as fast as he could. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last. Mr. McGregor soon found Peter's blue jacket and shoes. He hung them on his scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Oh no, there's Peter's jacket and his shoes. Peter didn't stop running until he was safely home. He was so tired that he flopped down on the sandy ground and closed his eyes. Oh no, poor Peter, he had quite the adventure. Poor Peter Rabbit was not very well during the evening. Mrs. Rabbit put him to bed and made some chamomile tea to give him. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and delicious blackberries for supper. Wow, that was quite an adventure. Poor Peter found out what happens when you don't obey Mom. She said not to go in Mr. McGregor's garden, and Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail they obeyed. They went down to the field and they got blue blackberries and they had a good time. But Peter, he went into the garden and he ate too much, and then he got chased all over the garden, and then he got lost, and then he found his way home, and then he was so tired and so worn out that he couldn't even enjoy the blackberries. Wow, I guess that's something that happens when you don't obey. You don't get to have the fun that the people that obey have. Maybe that's why Miss Dorothy always says obey and obey right away, because it's the right thing to do, and you end up having more fun that way. That's a lesson Peter Rabbit learned tonight, and I hope a lesson you have learned just by us reading this book, this very old book. You should ask your grandma if she's ever read this book. I'm sure she has, but not tonight, because tonight it's time for all my little rabbits to get into bed. I need you to get under your covers, get cuddled up, curled up, ready for a really good night's sleep. And tomorrow, when Mom tells you to go out and play, and she says, don't do this, don't do it. Don't be a Peter Rabbit. You obey, and obey right away. And then come back and see Miss Dorothy. I'm going to be sitting right here, ready to read another book to you. Bye! Thanks for reading with Miss Dorothy. I hope you enjoyed this book, and I hope you'll come back soon to read another. What's your favorite book? Drop Miss Dorothy a note and let me know. I'll go find it, and I'll read it to you. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you soon.